Hey guys, and welcome to the Pagnotta Take on Sports Week 7. As I said last week, we're going to start doing college football previews, so we're going to start with the ACC this week. And I have one of my best friends here with me today. Most of the guys that are going to watch this show, you're going to know him by name. His name is Josh Marlow, and he's here to talk about the ACC. And how you doing, buddy? All right. So let's get down to it. We're going to start off really quickly. We're going to see how long this is going to take. This could be a two-part episode. We just don't know. We're going to have to kind of play as we go along. So let's see where we want to start. We want to start with the ACC Atlantic, right?
Yes.
Okay. We'll start with the Atlantic, and of course the team that's going to win the ACC Atlantic this year is the Clemson Tigers. I don't think there's any joke about that, but we'll start at the bottom. We'll start with some of the lower teams, try to get these teams out of the way because they're going to be awful. And we'll start with Wake Forest. That's who I think is going to be the worst team in the ACC. From my predictions, from looking at the schedule, I think they're going to go 2-10. They're going to be 0-8 in the conference. They're just not a good team. They have a great head coach. I love Dave Clawson. I think he really fits the Wake Forest type fit. He's at a smaller school, and I think he could have success there. But he just doesn't have the right players there right now. I think he's got a good quarterback, but I think definitely people are trying to say that they're going to have some experience, but looking at what they have their projected lineup as, I don't really see a whole lot of talent there. The best player on their roster is going to be their free safety, Ryan Janavian. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right, but that's the only player I think that's really any good that could have a chance of making an All-ACC squad. So I think they're going to have a tough year. And what do you think about Wake Forest this year, man?
They're going to struggle. I think Dave Clawson knows what he got himself into when he took the job. It's a 4-year rebuild.
Oh, yeah.
Jim Grove, for what he did, recruiting at Wake Forest is not easy. That being said, they did have a first-round draft pick in the NFL draft. They had a good corner.
Very good corner.
But,
Kevin Johnson.
I think they'll be a lot more competitive. I mean, they did take Virginia Tech in overtime. Granted, it was tied at 0.
Awful game. One of the worst games of the year. I could not believe that.
They're still 2-3 years away from even competing, winning 4 games in the conference.
Yeah. So definitely. Got some work to do.
So a lot of teams should pick up a big conference win against them and keep their season rolling because Wake's going to struggle.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, I think Clawson, it's a process, and I think he knew that when he took the job. But the problem is, again, with college football today, we've seen that where if you don't win within a couple of years, if you don't win within 2 or 3 years, you are out of a job. And if he ends up losing his job there, he'll find a coaching job somewhere else for sure. And then from there, okay, we have them finishing last. I have Syracuse finishing 6th. From looking at their schedule, I have them as 4-8, 1-7 overall. I mean, there's talent that's still there. I think Scott Schaefer, once again, another young coach. On the hot seat, you're right. You're definitely right about that. But I think, you look at his record, 10-15 in 2 years, which isn't bad because really the talent level, ever since they left the Big East, seems to have gone down, which makes no sense. You'd think they would have gained better recruits, but really the only building spots they have, I think Terrell Hunt, their senior quarterback, that's a guy that could be a building piece. They definitely need some running backs to step up because that's always usually a strength of their offense, but that hasn't seemed to be the case these last couple of years. And defense, they only returned 3 starters, so that's where I think they need to definitely find someone that's going to step up. There usually always is a star at the linebacker position. There's no one really that great this year. The best player would be Marquez Hodge. He's not really a big-time talent, though. And a lot of these guys that came in that were high recruits underperformed. Guys like Wayne Morgan, who was supposed to be, he was a 4-star recruit at the time when he got recruited. He's pretty much fell off the face of the earth. Guys like Ashton Broad, who plays wide receiver, another guy where he plays H-back, so I don't even know what that actually is in their offense. I guess he's just like a do-it-all type guy, but he doesn't do anything, so it doesn't really matter. But, I think they have a chance to be good. Their schedule is looking pretty tough, though. A lot of their key conference games that could be the tipping points, like games like Louisville and NC State, they play on the road. So I think that's where they could end up finding themselves in trouble. What do you think about Syracuse?
They lost their coach 2 years ago, and you can tell. He did a phenomenal job with limited talent at Syracuse. But being present, I think the big thing is since he's left, there's no identity.
True.
Offensively or defensively. They don't know if they want to be up tempo, if they want to be physical, kind of pro style, old school football. You can't win in today's football, or really in any sport, without having an identity of who you are as a team. And they got a player in Terrell Hunt who, if he can stay healthy,
that's it.
Not
right there.
Not limit mistakes, really manage the game. That defense will keep them in a lot of games.
Oh yeah.
But they play. They're going to be playing Florida State, Clemson, Louisville on a year in year out basis.
Exactly.
And
yeah.
The chances of them beating them
are
now, no. They're 2-3 years away. Even though they're in a better conference, Syracuse is a basketball school. You're not going to convince a local product to stay home to go play football at Syracuse.
Yeah. That's true.
That area is a Big Ten area, and it always has been. So,
Oh yeah.
They I think what you'll see in the bottom of all these teams is there'll be improvement on the field. The records won't show the progress that the programs are making on and off the field.
Because the ACC is growing that talented. I mean, we're really getting to be a better conference.
I mean, we've won a national championship. We had a team make the first ever college football playoff. And this year we've got a potential national championship caliber team in Clemson.
That's true. I mean, I think if we're staying on, with Syracuse, I'd say Hunt getting injured last year was huge. I mean, now, but the problem is, even when you look at it, like opening game of the year, they went into overtime and barely beat Villanova. Yeah. I don't care that Villanova is a decent FCS school. They were always pretty good. You can't struggle against an FCS opponent, especially if you're an ACC team.
That's a team where those freshmen that you don't redshirt. They get to experience football.
They should.
Not where you're sitting there in the fourth quarter and you're still sitting
you got
there
your fans freaking out,
scratching your head like, okay.
I mean, this is okay. I understand that Villanova and the Carrier Dome usually isn't a good thing, but that's when we're talking basketball, not football. So moving on from them, we'll go. I have number 5. I have Boston College at number 5. I've been going 5-7, 2-6. They're just going to miss a bowl game. And this is another situation where I like their coach, a good guy. Another situation where they have no quarterback. I mean, they're trying to find one. Darius Wade and Troy Flutie are going to be battling it out to the end. And I mean, people would probably say they want Troy Flutie in there. Don't know if he's as good as his dad. I don't really know a whole lot about him, but hopefully they can find someone there. Their running game, they got a decent running back in Jonathan Hillman. He ran for 860 yards and 13 touchdowns a year ago, so there's something to build on there. But wide receiving, they have no one. And defensively, they got a good amount of people returning. Steven Daniels, their linebacker, he's another good talent, which it doesn't matter. They always have at least one linebacker that's up there in tackles in the country. So hopefully they're able to work together. Once again, that's another coach that I think I like, but if he doesn't start winning soon, he's going to start hitting the hot seat, and they're going to be talking about him maybe being put out of Chestnut Hill, which I really think is bad news for him. I mean, it kind of sucks that Murphy really got going late in the year, and it was his only, only year of eligibility, because if he was still there, I think they would be a pretty damn good team this year. What's your take on them?
See, I tend to disagree. I think they're a bowl team, and there's one reason. It's Steve Adiazio, who was probably the most underrated coach in the conference. You look at his track record. He built Temple from crap to they were winning 7-8 games.
That's very true.
This team, granted, it was at home. They did beat a USC team that did have a very good first year in Steve Sarkisian. Steve's teams are going to play. They're going to play extremely physical. They're going to run the ball over and over and over, and they're going to beat you up. Ask Florida State, beat them by 3.
Yes, exactly.
2 years ago, they went to Death Valley and all but should have won the game.
Pretty much. Yeah, you're right. You're definitely right.
I think that team, I think they're always going to be a bowl team. They're never going to be a team, like Matt Ryan, climbing number 2 in the poll.
Yeah, no.
But
not anytime soon.
That's not the program.
Yeah.
But they will compete. They will give teams fit because of their style of play. They have a good coach, good motivator. Boston College is a hard place to win. It's in Boston, but who wants to go play in Boston for college football.
Yeah, no one wants to play there with the Patriots. There.
So,
it might deflate your balls.
So, you know.
But my thing is, looking at their schedule, I understand where you're coming from. I think they could win 6 games, but they really draw pretty badly with the crossover games. They get at Duke, which I don't think they're going to win that game. I think Duke's going to be good enough, but we'll talk about them later. And they also draw Virginia Tech. If they would have drawn someone like maybe Virginia, maybe...
I just think those 2 games are both
Miami,
good draws because Duke, you would think, naturally would regress.
Yeah,
and Virginia Tech hasn't been good in 4 years.
That's very true. I do think Virginia Tech's a manageable game, but I just don't see them winning.
And if they get one of them at home, it even, Chestnut Hill.
Yeah,
for
Virginia Tech's at home.
For there not to be a whole lot of fans there.
Yeah.
When it gets up there up north, you don't want to go play up north.
Yeah, they're hard at home. You are right about that. I'll give you that one.
So.
Yeah.
We can move on.
So we got, okay, moving on from Boston College. Been way too long. We'll go on. 4th in the conference, I actually have NC State. I have them going 5-3 in conference. Now, the only reason I have them finishing actually in 4th place is because I do think Louisville will beat them and end up winning that tiebreaker. I have them actually going 9-3 in conference. Once again, a good team in there. They have one of the better quarterbacks in the ACC. I think he's a top 4 quarterback in the ACC. Their running game is pretty good. They got 2 running backs in Sedarius Stewart and Matt Days that can get it done. Wide receivers, they got some good talent. They got a true freshman, Naeem Hines, coming in. He's going to be really good. The thing about them is they don't return a whole bunch of starters in the front 7 or front 6. They only have the front 6. So they only actually return 2, but they do return their entire secondary, which is huge. That is always something that's big in the ACC, especially with us becoming more of a passing league than we've been in the past. And I think their schedule definitely lines up. Their out-of-conference is just completely weak. The best team they play out-of-conference is probably South Alabama. That's just terrible terrible scheduling. And conference... they do get Clemson, but they get them at home. They get Louisville, they get them at home. The only game that they play on the road of big significance really is Florida State, and they also get North Carolina at home. So, I think they're a 9-win football team. I know you definitely disagree with that. I think they're talented enough, though, this year. That's the reason why. That's the only reason why.
You've seen the pattern with all these teams that were working their way up. State's probably the one that is 1 year away. Could they win 9 games? Yes. But this program has had expectations under previous coaching, and they just have failed to disappoint. Now, Dave Doran has done a great job there.
Yes, you're right.
They've probably got, I'm not going to say the best quarterback, but they've got a very good quarterback who, if they can keep him upright and they can run the football early and often, he's dangerous. I mean, I watched him shred my Tar Heels defense last game of the season. I think they finished 4th, but I think at best, regular season-wise, 8 wins, which, State fans will, they'll rejoice over that because...
So you have them going like 4-4 in conference. There's no way they're losing that conference. Their out-of-conference schedule is some of the one of the weakest I've seen.
Because, Raleigh's a hard place to play, but...
True. That's true. I will give them them that.
Defense travels, and Clemson's defense will travel there. And, Louisville, I think they're going to be really good. They got at Florida State. That could be winnable because we don't know what Everett Golson, if he's a starter, is going to be. Is it going to be the Everett Golson that led to a title game? Or turn the ball over almost 20 times.
That's true. Yeah, we'll talk about that in a little bit later.
State's I think 4-4 and the next year, even because I believe Brissett's a senior.
Yes, but they got a good kid in Jalen McClendon.
I think if you go one more year, because they're recruiting well.
Yes, they're bringing in some great recruits.
9 wins could be a target in the future,
Very
not
true.
this year.
I think you're definitely right. As much as we are Tar Heel fans, but we have to respect them.
Yes.
They've played some great football.
And I want a good state team because, it makes it interesting whenever you play them.
Oh, definitely. Okay, and then from there, as I said, I have Louisville. They win the tiebreaker.
Yes.
you know, there's a lot of good with Louisville. They have some good players.
They got to find
there.
a quarterback.
That is the main problem with them. They have no solid quarterback.
They're the average Ohio State.
They have great quarterbacks. Bonifone is a good quarterback. Problem is with him, he makes poor decisions.
Yeah.
Boland's got a huge arm, but hasn't played as much as Bonifone has. And they do have a couple of other guys. Gardner is still there. I don't know how he's still there. He's old as anything. And Tyler Ferguson, remember the guy that came from Penn State? He's actually there. So you bring another talented quarterback on. Ferguson was a good, highly recruited player. I think their quarterback situation, Boland, I think, should be the starter. He played the best out of all of them at the end of the season. He makes the smart decisions, but Bonifone can run the ball. And in the ACC, you got to have a quarterback that can be mobile.
And especially in that offense. You know, but Petrino's always been known as a pass-first guy. True. But
you're right.
You can't, you know, you ask the air raid teams of college football, if you cannot have a serviceable running game, I don't care if you throw for 600 yards.
Yeah.
You're not going to compete at the highest level. And Louisville can compete, I believe, this year with Ohio State and Clemson. A lot of people disagree. Because that program was already there when Charlie. Now, granted, it was a Big East program that played. That roster is loaded with talent. Just ask the secondary. It's pretty much all SEC Georgia transfers.
Yeah, that's pretty much all it is. It's just Georgia. But the only thing that I will say, they do not have any help for their quarterback. Their wide receivers. There is no one. The best player is James Quick, and I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're a Louisville fan. He is underachieved. They thought he was going to be the next superstar, and the kid's just an average receiver. The running game, you got Brandon Radcliffe, you got L.J. Scott, you got a couple of guys that are serviceable, but not someone that you would say is going to be an all-ACC running back, even a second team. There's no one there that you say that is someone that I can trust.
But, you know, that could be, you know, because there's so many question marks on offense.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard to prepare. And Petrino, no matter what he rolls out there, will get the most out of the talent.
Oh, yeah. He'll find a way to put it together and make something out of it. Yeah,
so,
you're right.
I mean, I don't think they win the Atlantic.
Yeah, no.
But I believe their games against Clemson and Florida State, whether they're home or away.
Yeah, they're at Florida State, they're at NC State, and Clemson is a home game. And that's now the thing about that's early in the year.
Yes.
So Clemson's going to have to be ready for them because they start out. Now, they got Auburn to start out at a conference.
Yeah,
that is going to be a very tough game. But again, Auburn's another team. Now, they have their quarterback.
Yes.
So that's where I think they're going to be at a little bit of a disadvantage. I think that'll be a good game, but I think they'll lose that game, and that's what could end up setting the tone for their season.
I just think Louisville's going to be a team that, you know, they won't win the division.
Nah.
But I believe they'll take the two best teams in the division into the fourth quarter, and a play or two here could determine the outcome of them either winning or not winning.
That's true. Very true.
And I believe going forward, that's going to be a team that you can almost account. They're going to be winning 9-10 games because, you know, as long as Petrino doesn't do anything stupid, he's going to recruit. They're putting the money into the football program. So I believe that's the team going forward. They're gaining momentum in the ACC.
I agree with that. I think the talent has to come together because they've had some highly sought after recruits that haven't played as well. But I definitely agree with that. And then from there, second, we do have Florida State. As I say, Clemson will win the Atlantic. So I do have Florida State. I have them going 9-3. And 6-2 at a conference, which would mean that they will lose an at-a-conference game. I do think they will lose at Florida at the end of the season because I think Florida will have their stuff together by that point. I think Florida State is definitely very talented.
They've lost so much.
The defensive side of the ball, they've lost a lot. They lost their two best defensive players up front, at least, and I think two of their better ones from last year in Goldman and Edwards. They're both gone. And that's the thing with Florida State. You first turn to their defense.
Yeah.
Now, there's a lot of talent there. Jalen Ramsey, if he stays out of trouble, that's one of the best corners in the country. That kid is that good. He's very talented. You got a lot of experience there with guys like Tyler Hunter Nate Andrews, great talent with Trey Marshall, and that's just in the secondary. You return both linebackers and Terrence Smith, who's definitely an NFL prospect, Reggie Northrop, but that's leaving out talented guys like Michael Thomas or Matthew Thomas, who's a 5-star recruit. You got guys up front that can get it done, like Casher's been there a long time, DeMarcus Walker, and then we haven't even moved to the offensive side of the ball. And there's a lot of talent there. You go, of course, quarterback.
Winston.
You got to replace Winston.
And Rashad Green, the most productive receiver.
This is true.
In the history of that program, which is
very hard.
That's saying a lot.
I mean, when you look at their wide receiving core, there's no one. Their wide receiving core, they're saying here, Jesus Wilson, who's a good player, Travis Rudolph, who's another up-and-comer, Ermon Lane, and Javon Harrison. There's only one problem with all these guys. They have pretty much no experience. They haven't been there. And again, Golson doesn't come in. He doesn't come in till, is he there now? Yeah, he doesn't come into the fall. So he's got to rush in there and get that done.
He's got a month to learn that playbook.
Now, which is not a good thing at all.
The bright side about Florida State's offense, they've got Dalvin Cook.
Which they think is going to be a Heisman contender. I don't think he's going to be that good. Look, he's going to be a good running back, but he is not a Heisman.
I'm not saying Heisman, but
no, I don't think he's going to be a hell of a running back. Oh, he's going to do a great job in there. I think he's going to be really, really good.
They've got the one thing that will help whoever the quarterback is, Golson or McGuire. They should have a dependable running game. And thinking about Florida State, they're not up tempo. So, Winston by far was not a game manager. I mean, the guy made plays that, you really should not see in college football.
Yeah. It was pretty nuts. Oh yeah.
So,
what I think bodes well for them as well, I think Winston and Golson were a little bit similar. Now Golson is, I think, easily a lesser version than what Winston is.
More mobile,
his decision making is the same thing. I think. I know this sounds probably pretty stupid, but the defense is going to have experience with a guy that has at least turned the ball over. So it's not going to be a shock when they turn the ball over, because we saw it last year. And the best, their kicking game's the best in the country.
Yeah.
They have the best kicker in Aguayo. So he can nail field goals from a long distance, and their punter, Kaysen Beatty, he's a great punter too. So, I mean, there's some guys that definitely have to step up. But if Cook ends up being a Heisman Trophy contender, they could find a way to win 11 games. They're not going undefeated. They're not winning a national championship. I don't think they're in the college football playoff. Golson is not that talented. I'm sorry.
There's expectations there. They'll probably fall short of the high standard held in Tallahassee.
True. That's true.
But I think they win 10 games. And
I gotta agree. Yeah, I agree with you. It could be up near there. I just have them losing at Florida.
And then the next year, I think is a whole different story. So as we move to Clemson,
they're going to be tough. What I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to do a national preview at the end. So we're going to go through every conference, and then from there I will decide what it is. But right now I have Clemson 11-1, so they will be up near the top of the nation. Looking at what they've got, their talent is unbelievable. You've got Deshaun Watson. If he stays healthy, he's easily the best quarterback. I think he's a Heisman Trophy contender, and he may be the best quarterback in the nation.
Kid's tough, man.
Kid's amazing.
He played against Sacramento with a torn ACL and still beat the Gamecocks.
I can't believe that. Yeah, I mean, the Gamecocks are a formidable team. So, they're a good team. So, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They have a good running game, definitely. They have wide receivers that are proven and a bunch of young guys. I mean, that is one position they recruit 3 or 4 great players every year. Defense, they will always be good under Brent Venables, who I think is one of the best defensive coordinators in the country. I am a Tar Heel fan, and I absolutely love the guy.
Yeah,
I really do.
The guy needs to be a head coach somewhere.
He does. The secondary is the most talented area on that team. Mackenzie Alexander, he's easily the best player in that secondary. You got guys like Jaron Kearse, who's going to be really good. And then when you go up front, I know they lose Beasley. I don't think he's going to be as good, but I think Shaq Lawson is a great player. I really do think he's going to be a great player off the edge. They got a couple of guys like DJ Reader at the linebacker position, guys like Ben Bullaware and other guys that can move around that defense, like Corin Wiggins, who used to play safety. I know they've moved him down. So there's definitely talent there. And once again with them, same thing, good kicking game that will keep them in games. So I know here, Dabo's definitely proven. The first couple of years, people said, well, he can't win the big games. Well, now, okay, he's on the stage and he's shown up. The only game I have them losing is at State, and that's because they're going to be on a run, and when they go, you go that deep into the season, you're going to start getting those games that get really close, and I think they just clip them there because I know crossover games, they get Georgia Tech, but they get them at home, and they're at Miami, which I don't know. Miami's going to be a decent team, but I still think Clemson is good enough to be up there. And like I said, I think they're going to be in the national picture. I
think State wins the division. I don't think they're undefeated.
You mean Clemson?
Yes.
Okay.
Clemson. You got me off.
Okay, no, it's all right. It's all right. No, okay. I just wanted to correct that. We're not saying State's winning the division. We got them fourth.
I think Clemson will win the division.
Yes.
They're not undefeated. I believe they lose. They could possibly lose 2 games. I know Georgia Tech's at home, but
tough game, very tough game.
They
yes.
If the right Clemson offense shows up, they can easily win it because it's a shootout. Florida State could be a toss-up. I know it's a home game. At Miami, could be a toss-up. And I
can't forget about the last game of the year, man.
And
never forget about that game.
And them going into Columbia, knowing what Deshaun Watson did to them last year, Spurrier will have his boys fired up. The crowd will be going. I think Clemson's at best a 10-2 football team. Good season. Watson should be a Heisman contender.
Yes. But you don't have them in playoffs.
No.
Now, I have them up there. I really think they're going to be that good.
So, sorry, Clemson fans, but,
I think you guys are going to be good, so at least you got that. I've been doing this for 7 weeks. So. Just kidding. But we're gonna just to be safe, we're gonna cut the show right here for the Atlantic, and we're gonna do another one for the Coastal. And also in that episode, I'm gonna read through my All-ACC, and he's gonna tell me if he agrees with some of the players, who he thinks maybe could be in there. We're gonna do most of the main positions. Of course, the most discussed one will be the quarterback position because that's just nuts in the ACC. So if you guys want to see the Coastal go over, if you don't, and you just wanted to watch the Atlantic, I totally understand. So just click over on the other show, guys.